Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, depending where you are. Lorna, welcome from the Canary Islands. I'm going to have to look that up. Today I thought I would go live simply because this week was busy and I didn't get my and I also wanted to touch base and check in with anyone who's here and offer my services and let you all know that a lot's been cooking in my life and I'm feeling very strongly pulled to shift gears in the new year. So this whole YouTube channel will become an archive of what's come through me, and my focus is going to be in a different direction. I'm going to put on my director's hat, I'm going to put on my artist hat, and I'm going back to school. So long time ago I was given some visions of things I would like to create, and they require a lot of collaboration and they require a lot of networks and know-how. And I'm in a position in my life right now where for the first time ever I'm really free to create, and I'm really free to follow that dream in my heart. If you look at the astrological chart, my birth chart, it's all about the art. So that is what I want to do. So the healing will always be there. It's always been about the healing. I had a psychic reading when I was about 20 saying you can't escape the healing if you wanted to. Good morning. I gotta put my glasses on, sorry. My little Wonkus glasses. Annie, hi from Iowa. Welcome. Thanks for showing up, everyone. Please, this is a session, as usual, with the live streams. I called it Livestream. I thought that was a fun play on words, because really it is about the live stream, isn't it? Healing is about allowing the stream of life and the stream of consciousness, the stream of healing energy to come through to support your life. Yeah, if you would like to ask a question while I'm here live, while you have me here live, please feel free. The more specific your question, the more it will make sense to me with what I'm seeing, and I'm able to kind of zero in on the issue that you're dealing with. I always have a little disclaimer acknowledging that this is not a replacement for Western medicine, and that all healing comes from the divine. And all you need to do to receive the healing energy is to nod or affirm yes. And if nobody wants a specific request, I will just do a collective healing for those that are here and for those that get to watch it afterwards. If you feel like you benefit from this session, I'm just going to pop a little donation button in the chat. Please feel free to buy me a cup of coffee or a cup of cocoa or a cup of chai. So let's begin, shall we? If you're here with me, just go ahead and settle into your body. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. This morning when I was setting up, there was a little spider on my smudge stick. And anytime I've ever given a session for somebody one-on-one, I always pay attention to the critters or the sounds or the environment, what's happening in the space. And it feels pertinent. It feels pertinent to whatever's happening for that person. So the fact that there was a little spider crawling as I was smudging speaks to me of the webs that we weave. If you think about it, spider medicine is weaving its web to catch its dinner. And there's all different kinds of spiders. And if you read the spider medicine card and the medicine oracle deck, it speaks of becoming aware of the web that you weave in your life, in your relationships, in your home, in your job, and how some of those relationships can be poisonous, how some of them can be wrapped up in sticky tangles. And so it's asking you to tune in and check in with yourself about your part in weaving your world. And if you're in right relation to others around you, if you're in right relation to everything in your space, whether it's your home, your animals, your parents, your children, your loved ones. So keeping that in mind, as a sign for today's session, where are you in relation to those around you? How are you feeling in your own web? I recognize for a while I felt that I was wrapped up in a sticky web and that it was quite toxic and poisonous to my well-being. And being free of that particular web has actually been very beneficial to my health. So we have a request. We're going to move on in. Got to bear with my one-armed glasses. Hi, Jessica. Welcome. Oh, you had saved a spider from yesterday from your bathtub. Welcome. Asenka, hi. Anyone, please, if you'd like a specific focus, the channel is open. Called in my guides. The space is considered a virtual sacred space. I understand if you don't want to speak in public broadcast on a public forum of your health. But again, if you do ask for a healing request and the request is specific, you'll get a very specific response. The other thing that, as I was beginning to tune into the session coming on live, was that I pulled a tarot card and it was the Five of Cups. I'll see if I can find it for you. The Five of Cups is somebody who is grieving what was lost. And if any of you are experiencing grief or a loss or the death of a certain way of living or things that have shifted or are beyond your control, the Five of Cups is a card that reminds us that there's two cups standing. Now I can't find it. Here we go. There's two cups behind her. She's looking at the cups that have fallen on the ground and spilled out the contents. And she's lamenting the loss of these cups. But behind her is this table full of riches, two cups full, a bounty, a little picnic there. So it's a reminder of us to, if we're so focused on what we've lost, if we're so focused on what has happened in the past, and I get it, grief is real, grief is all-consuming, grief can take time to process. But it's just a reminder for you here today, the collective, if you're watching this later, also that in the death of the old, in the releasing of the old, in the change in your life of letting go of something, someone, some place, grief comes in so many forms, that the universe always provides. When one door closes, another one opens. There's so many ways of saying the same thing, that we live in an infinite, abundant possibility. The universe is infinitely abundant, and there's always more at hand for us to explore. And yes, you can ask a relationship question. I just ask that when you ask a question, it's interesting that my throat is really chuggy this morning. When you ask a question, if you could please frame the question in a way that is not a yes-no answer, because I don't do yes-no answers. Really, my specific skill set in terms of, the psychic world is medical intuition. So, yes, relationships can create troubles in your health if they're wobbly or wonkus or fractious or toxic. So definitely relationships are health related. But if you could ask your question in a specific way that allows me to tune in without a yes-no answer. So go ahead and please ask your question. Will there be resolution with my parents and how they see me? It's been a very negative and painful relationship for me. That is a yes-no question. I'll tell you what I'm seeing. That spider that we were talking about, those sticky tangles that I was talking about. Keep in mind that your parents are unlikely to change at this point. I'm not sure how old they are, but this goes for 95% of the population on planet Earth. Human beings stuck in a very rigid mindset, stuck in old patterns, old beliefs, old habits, old rituals, old routines. And it's difficult for an elder generation who hasn't had some catalyst or some spiritual awakening or some dramatic shift in their life, some big aha moment. They're just operating on a little subroutine that is hardwired and hard programmed into their mindset. So you're working with a rigid mindset, and you're going to keep hitting that like a wall. So that comes across as sticky tangles in the web. And it's not to say you don't want to try and reach them and connect to them and offer your heart in a way that they might hear and acknowledge and respect, but that they're also operating from a lot of expectations, opinions about who you should be, how you should live your life. And when you don't conform, when you don't fit the profile, there becomes a fractious, abrasive rub. They find you difficult to control. You being the wild, rebellious spirit that you are, the free spirit that wants to journey on your own terms and live life the way you're called to live, they don't understand. And this is so true of so many elders and so many children. So knowing that, will there be resolution? Part of that question is coming to understand that you need to reconcile in yourself that they may never change. And if you can reconcile that in yourself and acknowledge that they're never going to change, I mean, they may, who knows? Anything's possible. But on the chance that they may never change, that your relationship may continue to be fractious when you're living life on your terms versus living life to fulfill their expectations, judgments, opinions, beliefs, habits, rituals, doctrine, dogma, whatever it is that they're subscribed to, whatever their conditioning is, that's what you're bumping up against. And you'll find that in kids, teenagers, the youth of today are coming in and they're like, what is this situation? Very awake, very aware, many children, many teenagers. And that's that rebellious spirit, right? Who can see that things aren't quite right and see that things aren't working and can see that there's another way. And when I say that, that feels like a key, that you know that there's another way to be, to live, to express, to relate, and that you're coming from that place. So in this question, will there be resolution? If you can find peace in yourself, what I'm sensing is this kind of like in you, like a grating, push-pull, jostling. Your thoughts are like, your intuition is like, yes, this direction. But the program of old, mum and dad, is like, no, you have to do it this way. So there's this discord in yourself, and which creates resistance in moving on the path of your intuition. So welcome to the club. Just about everyone here who's had a spiritual awakening or who is intuitive or psychic in any way or aware that, no, this is the right way, and, drawn to this higher power and feeling in alignment, mind, body, and spirit, meets that resistance in one way or another, whether it's parents, whether it's partners, whether it's family, brothers and sisters, whether it's your workplace, whether it's your spiritual, whether it's your church, whatever it is, you come up against that resistance when a deep inner knowing tells you that things are otherwise. So it's like you can see the bigger picture. It's like you can see outside the box, and that's what you're working with. You're working with parents who are in this little rigid mindset, and you're coming out as this fluid, flowing, expressive being who's ready to pour themselves into a path or a way of being that they just can't even relate to. So coming to peace in yourself, knowing that that rigidity may never change, never know. Sometimes illness or, a cataclysmic event in somebody's life can shift everything. Certainly when somebody's faced with death, that changes a lot of things. Knowing that, navigating that relationship with that awareness somehow softens your way of being with them, because it's not this constant push and pull. It's not this constant battle of wills. It's not this constant enforcement of my way is right, my way is right. It's more okay, you see things like that, I see things like this, I get it. And then because you're fluid and flowing and you meet the rock, just like water, flow around the rock, bash up against the rock. Think of the waves on the ocean, on the coast. But there's a fluidity and a softening and a letting go of having it be a certain way in you. And that is the softening that can happen. And you'll find when you have that recognition and you have that awareness and you have that experience of softening just in yourself, in your own recognition, in your own awareness, that something subtle will shift in them. They will also soften. So will you have resolution? I can't say. I know plenty of people who have created a boundary with people that they love for protective reasons, for self-preservation, for the recognition that the relationship was very, very toxic to their health. And sometimes space is needed in that regard. And that's okay. That's okay while you figure yourself out. Because if you're so embroiled and so entangled in the relationship that you can't see above, it's better to step away sometimes so that you can center yourself and ground yourself and find out what's true for you. I'm guessing that a lot of your turmoil in relation to your parents is figuring out what's yours and what's theirs. What's that voice in your head that belongs to them, which is all those judgments, expectations, and opinions versus your intuitive flow. So finally, today, for you, the message I'm receiving is to just, if you can focus your attention on your solar plexus, this is your power seat. You can put your hands there if you like. It's right above the belly button. And everybody can do this too. This is to reclaim your power. Bring your focus to the solar plexus and front and back. So at the point at the back, again, where the solar plexus opens up. And we're just going to unwind at the back. Unwind the energy that's compacted in there because it's like it's compacted from you trying to conform. So we're just going to unwind that energy. Can you take a deep breath into your solar plexus? There may be, and again, we're going to do another breath. There may be a lot held in here, okay? Yeah, if you have a big outburst of emotion, that's okay. Just, it will pass. It's like you've been holding it all together. Yeah. Instantly softening. Instantly softening. Just breathe into that space. Free you of the sticky tangles. Any webs, sticky tangles, sticky threads that anyone's woven around you. Clearing those energetically so that you are your own sovereign being with your own thoughts, individual from mum and dad. Aligning that intuition into the solar plexus, your gut instinct, on point. That deep inner knowing what's right for you, regardless of what they say. Take a deep breath into your solar plexus. Yeah, that feels like enough for now. It feels like a lot to process, right? So energetically, you've had a shift there. Mentally, there's a lot to think about. It's a separation of sorts. So again, that grief, that loss, Maybe there's been an entwinement there with the parents that you haven't been aware of, or an enmeshment. Those parents, they do like to enmesh us. Speaking as a parent, that attachment. Just sit with that, see how you feel. It feels very, very different to me. I feel like you are actually bringing through a lot of gold energy right now. Golden energy coming in through the solar plexus for your individualization, for your sovereignty, for your agency in choosing the path that is in alignment with your higher self. Sorry, Mum and Dad. You're old school. Love you, but you're old school. I'm doing it my way because that's what's true for me, right? Yeah, bless. Hope that helps. All right. Osenka, hi. Can I get healing energy for the emotional plane? Inner conflict. Inner conflict. Okay, yes. Yeah, okay. So what's going on with the throat here and the chest? I want to cough something up. It's like something is lodged in your lungs. Do you have more grief? We're dealing with grief today. Do you have some kind of and I'm hearing possible resentment towards somebody or something, or some action that somebody took against you? I'm also seeing a lot of jagged energy, like if you were to take a picture and fragment it like a broken mirror. Something has fragmented your sense of self. So, and I'm pretty sure you will know what that is. So today we're asking from Spirit for you for a healing of that fragmentation. I met a woman who had made a mosaic out of a broken mirror. You know, apparently when you break a mirror, it's 7 years bad luck. But instead of dwelling on the fact that she had broken a mirror, she actually took every little fragment and turned it into this incredible mosaic. And it was a beautiful mandala made of fragments. And it stuck with me because it was so symbolic of something that we all go through in our lives, where we do have some kind of cataclysmic event happen in our lives, or we have a fracturing of our sense of self, or we are jolted in a way that our entire world is shaken up. And we can stay with the broken pieces. Again, that 5 of Cups that I pulled at the beginning, we can focus on all the broken shards, which creates inner turmoil. Or we can pick up those pieces and we can create something very beautiful with it. And we can turn to see that we actually have this incredible work of art. I'm a living example of somebody who has been broken on numerous occasions, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, fractured, broken. Had so many things happen to me in my life that could have taken me down and out. And every time I have found the resilience in me, and it's my connection to spirit that has enabled me to pick up those pieces and create a beautiful work of art. So spirit here is asking you to acknowledge first the fragmentation, the inner child that was wounded. And it doesn't have to be childhood. It could be adult experience where your feelings are hurt. The inner child that is hurt and fragmented and feeling very broken, just going to gather those shards metaphorically, energetically, here and now, and spiral them into a beautiful mosaic mandala. And just like when a crystal breaks or a mirror breaks or something fragments. There's actually a beautiful kids story. It's a Disney movie, Tinkerbell, where she breaks the crystal, but then she creates something new out of all the facets. And the light, instead of just hitting this crystal in one way, it then creates this extraordinary array of rainbows and sparkles and glitter. And it's the same with the mosaic. It's the same with the mirror. It's the same with pulling all the broken pieces. It's acknowledging the fragmentation. It's retrieving those pieces of yourself that have split off and been jettisoned into the far outer reaches of the universe. It's a soul retrieval of sorts, calling back the pieces of yourself, bringing them home, calling yourself home to yourself, and then having that mandala, having that beautiful aspect of self that is broadcasting light in the most magnificent way. It's finding the resilience in yourself to gather the pieces. Yes, you got hurt, but you're still here, and you have the pieces, and what you have, you can create into an exquisitely beautiful work of art. And in fact, because you got fractured, because the pieces of self fragmented, as you heal, as you come back to a place of wholeness, as you come home to yourself, those pieces become who you are, and as you walk through the world, broadcast an exquisite, beautiful light. There's another example of that with the Japanese pottery when a ceramic piece breaks. I forget the name of it, but they place the pieces together and they seal it with gold. So it's a new piece of art, and they acknowledge that it was broken, but now it's different with this beautiful gold weave through the break. So it's an acknowledgement that life does break us, life does fragment us. We do get slammed and hit, all of us. Nobody escapes unscathed. And it's finding it in ourselves to call those pieces back and return to wholeness in a new way. And you'll find that as you call yourself back to wholeness, I'm going to grab my drum, it's over there. I'm just going to get it in a minute. We're going to do a little calling you home. As you call yourself back, call yourself home to yourself, that moving forward, yes, you got hurt. Yes, that happened to you. But there's a gift in there. There's a gift. Often with the fragmentation comes new psychic abilities, for example. It expands your awareness so that you are able to see the world through new eyes. And the other thing that comes with acknowledging the hurt in you is a very, 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 very deep sense of compassion. And as somebody who has journeyed and experienced an extraordinary amount of pain in my life on all levels, the compassion that is available to you for other people who are hurting, for other people who are in pain, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal what that will breed in you. Like Tibetan monks, I've heard, will pray for suffering so that they can experience the quality of compassion. I'm like, well, I've had enough suffering. I'm good. I have compassion. So that is another thing to consider, that in the hurt inner child, the wounded inner child aspect of self, that the quality of compassion is being cultivated in you. And then that is something that you can offer and work with and walk with in the world. Just going to grab my drum. Give me a second. So yeah, this is a little, I won't go too long, but this is just a little meditation for you to call yourself home. So this, everybody can do this. If you feel fragmented or hurt or wounded, or the little child self is scarred or fragmented, just affirm to yourself, I call myself home. I call myself home. I call myself home. You can close your eyes if you like. Take a deep breath in. The imagery I saw then was of a fragment coming back and settling into place. So if you feel inspired and want to listen to that a number of times, and each time you're calling back a piece of yourself, because I know what it's like to have a fragmented inner child. And as you call back those pieces, consider that you're calling back information, you're calling back knowledge, you're calling back wisdom, you're calling back insight, you're calling back your sense of self. So welcome home. Welcome home. And as you call back those pieces, just be aware that tears may come. And those are very healing. So let them come. Oh, I'm so pleased. Mama Tatarin Kanti. I don't know how to say that. You're so welcome. Grieving here, loss of ex-husband and need healing. Jennifer, can you tell me the circumstances? You don't need to give me much information. Is this a death, an actual death, or a divorce, or separation, or what's the level of intensity that you're dealing with here? Hi, Rita. Welcome, love. Okay, he passed away. Thank you for sharing. I'm sorry for your loss. May I know his name? And I don't know if the name John is symbolic. That's just what popped into my head. The reason I'm asking is because Our loved ones, they have a tendency to show up in spirit if we're tuning in and listening. And depending on the circumstances of his departure. Okay, Joseph. Welcome, Joseph. So, and John is the pastor that he lived with. All right. I'm wondering if John was there at the end. Actually, there's and may I know the circumstances of his departure? And you don't, please, if that's too invasive, don't respond. It's just helpful for me to know what his spirit was experiencing at the time of death. If it was sudden, if it was expected, if he was ill, if it was an accident, if, did he take his own life? God forbid, how did he go? And again, if that's too painful, please ignore that question. His lungs, pneumonia, couldn't breathe. Okay. So, pneumonia is a feeling of suffocating when you can't draw breath, which is an uncomfortable feeling and specifically very difficult for a loved one to witness. So the energy that I'm seeing here, my love, is of kind of a helpless, hopeless, need in you to want to assist him in some way, and just watching as pneumonia took him. And he was on life support. Okay. He was tired. Okay. Strong. I sense a strong person in general, but it overwhelmed him. So the first thing, and this is very cliched, so forgive me for saying this, but it's true. The first thing that will ease your burden is time. The second thing that, depending on how recent it was, it will get easier with time. And I know when you're in the thick of it and it's all consuming and all overwhelming, that it could be a perfectly sunny day outside, but you can't see that because you're all consumed. So time will heal. The second thing is that I'm hearing, if it's possible for you to acknowledge any thoughts that you're thinking that are on spin or loop about how you could have done something different, how you could have, is there anything I could have done differently? Is there anything I could have, if only we had done this, if, the mind is going to loop about how it could have done something different, potentially. If that's not you, don't take that on. If it doesn't resonate, don't take it on. It's just what I'm seeing, is the potential to beat yourself up, that you could have tried this, tried that, could have done that, could have done this, could have done anything. So those thoughts that are on repeat and you're beating yourself up about, you can't shake that mindset. is keeping you stuck in this threshold place, in this in-between place, in this grief, in this loss, right? It's overwhelming and all-consuming, because I sense that those thoughts like agitate your nervous system, agitate your endocrine system, agitate your cardiovascular system, agitate your respiratory system, because everything's in response to those thoughts that are spinning. I have it on high authority and from first-hand experience. This is from my own experience of losing first a beloved pet and then my beloved father, that the mind can run wild with grief, and that when you come to a place of peace in your thinking, in your thoughts, that there's actually a very beautiful connection that can be born, and that you can connect and relate to him in spirit in the most profound, the most exquisite, the most beautiful way, and you will feel his presence. I can feel his presence here now. And it's the noise, which is like TV static, white snow. All of those thought patterns create that static, which is interference to you having that connection. So just for a moment with me here now, if you can place your hand on your heart, take a deep breath. We're just going to clear that static, yeah? We're going to clear that noise. Clear all of the self-depreciation, self-doubt, self-beating up, self-negation, coulda, woulda, shoulda, if only, why didn't I? You know, death comes to us when it's our time. Kookaburra agrees. I don't know if you can hear that, but they're very shortly outside. So a clearing of all those sticky tangles, the web of the thoughts that have got you stuck, believing it should have been other than it was, believing it could have been different, wishing you had done something different, wishing it had been anything than the final outcome. I'm pausing because I felt him just drop in a way that was very palpable. And now, if you can make a daily practice of clearing your thoughts, whether it's a smudge, whether it's meditation, whether it's exercise, whether it's yoga, whether it's a power walk, whatever it is that will clear your thoughts, move the energy, because thoughts are just energy too, then allow your freshly invigorated cardiovascular system to breathe into your heart and remember the love that you felt for this person. Feel that love that you felt for this person. And as you feel and drop into that experience of that palpable, deep reserve of love, that is the thread. That is the wave. That is the connection to him in spirit. without the interference, tuning into the heart. He's right there. And yes, he's left the building. So he's not in physical form, but he's very much here in spirit. So the relationship has changed. You can't hold his hand and have a cup of tea, snuggle him, but you can be with him in that way. And as I discovered after my dad died, now I have intel from the other side in a way like never before. So he has become your guide, your guardian, your angel. He's become one with the ancestors. So pray to the ancestors. Cultivate a relationship with his spirit. You know him well. So the spirit connection can be effortless without the mind noise, interference. And you know that he would want you to be at peace. Yeah? You know that. And you know that he knows that it's hard. I'm sure it was hard for him to let go. I'm sure he fought as long as he could to stay. As my fiance passed in 2011, Wade, he was his best friend. So you've lost two. You've lost two people. So you've got Wade and Joseph on team on the other side. Just the other day I was talking to my daughter about the three kings. I've got three elders in my field. My father, my godfather, and my father's best friend. Three wise old men. So if I feel the need to call on the divine patriarch, the divine masculine, they're right there. In fact, I feel the divine masculine coming through very, very strongly lately. That's that strength, that courage. You can call on the qualities of the divine masculine: discipline, courage, strength, motivation. Give you the strength to cope, to continue to pick yourself up and keep going. Yeah. So bless, my love. And having said all that, time. And just like any relationship, it takes time to cultivate, right? It takes shared experience to cultivate a relationship. So your daily practice, connecting to your loves. Two divine masculines on the other side. You're very welcome. And I pray that you find peace with that mental anguish and the noise, the static, the interference, dissipating and dissolving. Yeah. All right, my loves. Would anyone else like a healing? Did I miss anyone? Now is the time. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Thanks for being alive. Thanks for being you. Hi, Lorna. I'm shuffling these cards. I really love these cards. They're little witchy poo cards. I'm going to just see what jumps out while we're waiting for, see if anyone else wants a session. Anyone else would like a focus. Lorna, my love. Specifics. What aspect of being would you like the focus from on high? While the channel is open. And if there are no specifics, we'll just do general. Thank you for sharing. Before you said that, I was seeing your energy field. You know when you see heat on the horizon on the road and it shimmers? There's a shimmery heat wave that you can visibly perceive. So you were showing me your energy field is shimmering is not the right word, but quavering perhaps. As I can imagine, because I don't speak from experience in this regard, but I have worked with many people who have experienced a diagnosis like that. And I've sat with them while I've received the diagnosis. And I understand that the body goes into fight and flight and full-blown fear, right? Nobody wants to receive a diagnosis like that. The C word evokes a shimmering, oscillating, pulsing wave of fear through the entire field, because you're suddenly, depending on the nature and the severity of the diagnosis, you're suddenly confronted, regardless of the severity of the diagnosis, you're confronted with the C word, which is fear, right? Because the mind can just go woo and spiral into worst case scenario, which, let's be real, for any of us is I'm going to die, right? And a very, 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 very close and dear beloved relative of mine received a very bad diagnosis recently. And I sat with her and I said to her, I'm going to swear here, people. I said, have you turned and looked that motherfucker in the eye? Because she was laying awake at night, like a deer in headlights, terrified that she was facing her death. And it is a most uncomfortable feeling. So I suggested to her that she turn and look that motherfucker in the eye. And that's been the same advice I've had for anybody I've ever worked with who is confronting with that diagnosis. Because, and the reason for that is, if you don't, it's going to chase you and it's going to lurk in the shadows, and it's going to operate in your subconscious mind, and it's going to dominate your field. So all of the healing that you do, depending on what the doctors recommend, whether it's chemo or radiation or surgery or all of the above, or if you go the natural route and go to Peru and drink ayahuasca or whatever it is that you decide to do, that fear is going to be present until you acknowledge it. And even when you acknowledge it, it may continue to surface. But from an energetic point of view, from a healing point of view, there is great power in facing that fear, in facing that demon, and acknowledging that aspect of the journey. Because at the end of the day, we're all going to pass. Nobody makes it out alive. And when that happens is in God's hands. But by facing that possibility and acknowledging it and recognizing that it's got you in its grip, that it can somehow release its hold on you. And that may take time, right? This might not happen in an instant. But if you first face that fear, that rippling, shivering, quavering fear that's oscillating through your entire energy field, that sends your thoughts into a cascade of overwhelm. And I know when you get a cancer diagnosis that there's a tidal wave of information, and everybody has an opinion, and everybody tells you should be trying this and 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 this. I would welcome you if you wanted to. I am closing down my sessions, but if you would like to do a series of sessions, you would be welcome to do that with me. So I invite you to reach out if you would like to do that. That is a rare offering because I literally am closing that down. However, there's a beautiful book by Travis Brady. She is a client of mine, a success story, somebody who has survived cancer, and she has a lot of amazing information in there. I'll put the name in the chat because the name's escaping me. Name's escaping me at the moment. But you can look her up, Travis Brady, Cancer Survivor. That's a beautiful book. Just another piece of information, another part of that tidal wave of information coming your way. However, she is somebody who confronted that fear, looked that motherfucker in the eye, and chose. Because when you're confronted with a diagnosis like that and the mind spirals into fear, once you have acknowledged the fear and it starts to dissipate and dissolve and settle and not dominate your every waking thought, you can consciously, morning, noon, night, 1,000 times a day, if you wish, choose life. I choose life. And I had that conversation with a person once before too. It's like, are you going to choose life? Do you choose life? And at that point, this is another client, she actually said, I don't want to live like this, because her body had decayed to a certain degree and she didn't make it. So I would encourage you to choose life and affirm that you choose life. And I would also encourage you to be aware that the body is a miraculous machine and that anything is possible. Healing is possible. right? Our body's innate ability to heal is miraculous. And I encourage you to find support in your friends, family, community, because support, knowing that you're loved, knowing that you're being held, knowing that you're eating nourishing foods, knowing that you are afraid and people are there for a hug, all help. Any kind of diagnosis suddenly brings into focus very quickly what's important in our lives, right? So if anything, work with this diagnosis as a spiritual awakening, as a part of your expansion of your consciousness. And as you affirm, I choose life, and as you dissipate the fear and come into a place of balanced, centered calm, you can feel strong in yourself that I've got this. And I know mainstream popular culture will say the fight against cancer. I don't like to think of it as a fight. I think that's more resistance, more grating, more abrasiveness. I like to think of it as a acknowledgement of an imbalance in your body, and your body's saying, hey, I need your attention. So just right here, right now, can you bring your focus to the area? And this is your woman parts. This is your divine feminine. So perhaps as part of this is the healing around your mother, or being a mother, being a daughter. Perhaps part of the healing is the connection to the divine mother. And as a part of your daily practice, you can call on the divine mother. I feel her presence here now to assist you, to guide you next steps. I know with the diagnosis that every step, every chapter, every marker of time, there's decisions to be made about treatments, options. So perhaps you can pray to the Divine Mother with me here, right now, right here, that you are guided not by fear, by instinct, intuition, by the Divine Mother, while choosing and affirming life, the necessary steps for your body to heal. I believe our bodies know how to heal ourselves. Our bodies know how to heal. Our spirit knows how to heal. So just with me now, that's a long ramble, but just with me now, if you can breathe into your cervix, and my hands on my heart chakra as well, we're just going to bring that into alignment, okay? I'm going to sing you a little, hum you a little tune to bring the energy through the spine from the cervix all the way up into the heart. And close your eyes if you like, just to take the focus inwards. So interesting then, my voice quavered quavered being the word here of the day for your energy field. And then there was an instant judgment about being off key. So bringing your body into harmonic resonance, fine tuning the instrument. And just right now we're focusing on the cervix. I feel nostalgia here, like something that you perhaps have not let go of, lamenting something that happened in the past. So a gentle encouragement from Spirit to release what you're holding here that no longer serves you. Just bring into your mind's eye something that you've held on to. Maybe it's a belief, maybe it's a habit, maybe it's a pattern, maybe it's an addiction, maybe it's a person, maybe it's a substance, whatever it is that doesn't support your highest good. And just dissipating and dissolving that, like off-gassing that out of your physical body right now. Take a deep breath for me into the cervix. Yeah. Yeah, just bringing that into alignment. And if the fear surfaces again, and it very well may, because you're living with this every day, just being aware of it, dissipating, dissolving, whatever your practices are for clearing your energy, whether it's jump in the ocean, whether it's rattle or a smudge or exercise, meditation, tai chi, all of the modalities that clear energy, whether it's working with a healer, somebody can assist you. I strongly encourage you to, well, you're here, so you're clearly interested in alternative modalities, but I strongly suggest that you endorse and support whatever medical treatment you're receiving with as much woo-woo as you can, because healing, as far as I'm concerned, happens it's multifaceted, yeah? The Western medical team will focus on the physical. They will not focus on the spiritual, the mental, or the emotional. Maybe they'll focus a little on the emotional if they offer you support in that way, but you want to come at this from every aspect of self. Yeah. It's a holistic path of healing. And the doctors are very good at what they do, and we live in a time where modern medicine is amazing, and that you endorse and support that energetically as well. Emotionally, what does the little child self need? To feel held, feel nurtured, feel supported. Nourishing foods. I know a dear friend of mine drank a lot of bone broth. I don't know if you eat meat, but bone broth is known for its nourishing nutrients, specific targeted diet and supplements. If you can get yourself to a live blood cell analysis person that can target exactly what you need on a blood level. And doctors may roll their eyes at all of these modalities, but as far as I'm concerned, they all add weight of support. And by doing those woo-woo modalities, at the very least, it's keeping you in a positive mindset. It's endorsing a positive attitude. right? Because you can slip into the fear very easily. And so these woo-woo modalities will keep you in a positive mindset of, I've got this. I affirm life. I choose life. I'm going to heal this. So I wish you well. And the energy that wants to come into your cervix, you can place your hands there every morning before you get out of bed, every night before you fall asleep. Just bring in gold sparkles. Gold is the highest vibration. Pour that energy in there. Focus in on the sight. If you've seen the scans, you've got a visual. Get a visual lock on what it looks like. So you can direct and target that golden energy straight, whether it's a few cells or whether it's a mass, whatever it is, target that with that golden energy. So I encourage you to learn as you go about your anatomy and learn as you go about all of the test results. If you don't understand anything, look it up, research it, understand what the different indicators in the blood are, understand what the different names of all the drugs, names of all the everything. Just research. Do your research and understand the technical terms, the medical terms, it's a learning. You're in study mode and learning what you are about your body as you heal. You're going to come out with a vast encyclopedia of knowledge about this matter. And I wish you well. All right, my loves. I do need to wrap up because I have a man with a large machine coming to move a bunch of dirt. Yay. Yay. Okay, yes. All right, my loves. Thank you for being here. Please do feel free to support, donate, buy me a cup of coffee if you will. I would appreciate that. If you feel you've received some benefit, I'll endeavour to go live again another time before the end of the year. And I talk big about wrapping up this YouTube channel as archives, but we'll see. I'm fickle in that regard. We'll see how the energy goes. Love you lots. Thank you for being here. Take care of yourselves and bless. Thank you, spirits, angels, guides, for your guidance. Oh, I put the here. I'll put it again. I put the link. I'll pop it in the chat again. Thank you so much. And here's the large digger machine. So perfect timing. All right, my loves. Thank you. Bless.